76. On the other side, Lu Yuan and Alice didn't know that they had already made a prophecy. They actually predicted the actions of those little blue men. Definitely, even if they knew, they wouldn't care. Even stronger opponents and even legions have fought, not to mention the Green Lantern Legion with only big names but no actual record. So Lu Yuan and Alice forgot about that incident in a blink of an eye. Coming out from the other end of the portal, they came to an empty cosmic space. Similar to Sector 666, this place seems to be a dead world. There are only two fixed star lines here and nothing else. A fixed star system is a huge amount of red fixed star, where there is only one planet, which is exactly the purpose of Lu Yuan and Alice's trip, the Apocalypse Star. Different from the general fixed star system, although the Apocalypse Star is a planet, it does not revolve around the fixed star, and definitely fixed star does not revolve around Apocalypse Star. The two planets just stayed in place without interfering with each other and didn't move. Seen from a distance, the surface of Apocalypse Star presents two extremes. The direction close to fixed star is a sea of purgatory fire, while the side facing away is ice and sky colliding with the earth. This is called a living hell, and ordinary life cannot survive here for a second. Especially the terrible red fixed starlight is a deadly threat to life on Krypton. Definitely now Lu Yuan and Alice are already immune. Turning his head and looking to the other side, there is another fixed star in the distance, which is a beautiful yellow fixed star in its prime. There is also a planet there, which is a new creation star full of life. And there is also a group of new Protoss on it, led by Chu Darkseid's brother Keifu. That planet is completely different from Apocalypse, like the difference between hell and heaven. But for some reason, at the moment, a new creation star that should be full of life exudes a dead air. The goal of Lu Yuan and Alice is the Apocalypse Star in front of them. They didn't care about the new creation star, but flew to the Apocalypse Star side by side. In a blink of an eye, they arrived in front of the Apocalypse Star, and the two ignored the interference from the red fixed star and completely ignored the environment here. The Apocalypse Star also has an atmosphere, but the oxygen content in the interior is very low, almost none. Anyway, with the life strength of the new Protoss, they can survive even in outer space through the atmosphere. Lu Yuan and Alice came to the interior of Apocalypse. The surface of the Apocalypse Star has almost no place to stay, but fortunately they can fly. Apocalypse has no plants, no animals, and no cities. Only a lonely temple can be seen in the distance. It's hard to imagine how even the new Protoss survived in such a harsh environment. If there really is a hell in the legend, isn't that the case? What's even more strange is that both Lu Yuan and Alice have come to the surface of Apocalypse, but for some reason, they haven't even found a new Protoss. It's as if this place has completely become a Death Star. Or did Darkseid take all the new Protoss to the Earth? But it can't be justified, because there were still many new Protoss who fled back then. Where did those new Protoss go? Lu Yuan couldn't figure it out. What made him even more concerned was that he had always had a bad premonition in his heart, so he came here specially. It seemed that he had to come here to investigate something, but he had no clue. What exactly is going on? Alice on the side looked at Lu Yuan worriedly, but she couldn't help him, so she could only try not to disturb him as much as possible. Alice suddenly noticed that the surrounding space fluctuated. Obviously someone is opening the middle teleportation. The next moment, a huge amount of space gate really appeared in front of the two of them, and then, the completed Green Lantern Corps flew out. Sure enough, I still did this, Alice snorted softly. She had expected that the communication in OA Star this time was not very good, but she didn't expect that the other party would dare to do this. How dare you? Lu Yuan also snorted coldly. Just because he didn't know the cause of the boredom in his heart, these guys ran into trouble. Kryptonian traitors Lu Yuan and Alice, in order to protect the peace of the universe, we are here to capture you under the order and will of the Asgardians in the universe. One of the leaders, Green Lantern, shouted. It looked so majestic and righteous. Lu Yuan and Alice looked forward together. In front of them, more than 3,000 Green Lanterns densely formed a wall, and they were all ready to fight. I have to say that the Green Lantern Corps is still very imposing, but Lu Yuan and Alice didn't care at all. They had seen more powerful and terrifying army before. Oh? Then why didn't you do anything to us in OA Star before? Lu Yuan asked with a sneer. The other party was in the same room, and some of them couldn't answer. Since they were said to be some heinous villains in order to protect the peace of the universe, why didn't they do it before? We have to wait until the others have left to form such a big team to chase after them. Who is the villain? Stop talking nonsense with them. Since they don't intend to capture them without a fight, then capture them back, and even kill them. Anyway, they have killed so many people when they betrayed their own planet. Someone shouted. Alice frowned tightly. and her eyes began to light up slowly. The next second, she issued 2 terrifying heat rays and shouted, "Who do you call a traitor?" The heat ray has a speed exceeding the speed of light, and the distance between the two sides is not far. Almost at the same time as Alice sends out the heat ray, it has already hit the opponent. Green Lanterns can use the Green Lantern ring to release energy shields to protect themselves, which is why they can fly in space. But that layer of protective cover instantly disintegrated. That Green Lantern didn't even groan, not to mention resisting. His whole body was vaporized. Not even a body was left behind. Whoosh! A ball of green light wrapped a ring and quickly fled away. The Green Lanterns were all stunned. In just an instant, one of their companions died. And in the face of such a huge lineup of them, the opponent dared to take the lead? This is what they did not expect. Lu Yuan was not surprised at all, and he didn't care that Alice's behavior made things impossible to turn around. He quickly glanced at the crowd and found that he didn't see the figure of Diarango, and he felt a little relieved. However, Imo Luo, who had been in a relationship before, stood in the corner of the crowd with his head down, not daring to face Lu Yuan and Alice. Lu Yuan sighed. It seemed inevitable. "It seems that there will be a green light rain here today," Lu Yuan said, although his tone was flat, but full of murderous intent. "Green Lantern, just like the ring just now, when Green Lantern dies, the ring will spontaneously fall off and leave. And when enough people die in Green Lantern, it's like it's raining." As Lu Yuan's voice fell, "This place is destined to become a cemetery." 77. With Alice's move, a big battle is inevitable. The Green Lantern Corps also reacted immediately. After killing a companion first, everyone immediately started to fight. First, a large group of them shot together, using the energy of the green light ring to manifest countless dense chains, which quickly wrapped around Lu Yuan and Alice's bodies. The green light ring can materialize ideas, and the stronger the willpower, the more real the materialized things will be, which is also a very troublesome ability. Lu Yuan and Alice were both wrapped in chains, and each had to face the strength of 1 or 2,000 people. "Give it to me," Lu Yuan snorted softly, struggling with all his strength, and immediately broke the shackles all over his body. Alice next to her was not to be outdone. She gave a coquettish cry and also broke the chain. The two looked at each other. "Let's see who kills the most." Alice challenged Lu Yuan to a fight. Naturally, Lu Yuan would not reject June 4-7, and their performance made the Green Men feel insulted even more. "Spread out and fight each other," shouted Green Lantern, the original leader. Although they are a legion, they are not familiar with each other because they are restrained by Asgardian, and rash cooperation will only affect each other. So the wisest choice is to fight separately from each other. In an instant, thousands of Green Lanterns were scattered everywhere, turning into streaks of green light and flying around, forming huge amounts of encircling circles to surround Lu Yuan and Alice. And they quickly launched a second round of attacks. Some Green Lanterns transformed into laser guns in their hands, and some simply transformed into boulders and smashed them down. Lu Yuan was hit by a big rock, and Lu Yuan found that the green glowing stone was nothing but kryptonite. It turned out that it was a person with a bird-like head from the Zutter planet in the same sector as Krypton. The most famous Zutter star is Green Lantern Tamar, but the Zutter star in front of him is not Tamar. It is now 5,000 years ago in the official history, and it will take at least 4,000 years before the real Justice League-related plot. So this is Tamare's predecessor. But even if this is Tamar, Lu Yuan doesn't know him, and he won't show mercy. The other party actually wanted to use kryptonite against him. That's right, kryptonite is indeed deadly to ordinary Kryptonians, and even ordinary Kryptonians can be poisoned if they are exposed to kryptonite for too long. But Lu Yuan slapped him directly, smashing the opponent's kryptonite. Birdman Green Lantern was stunned and said in surprise, "How is it possible? Why is it impossible?" Lu Yuan suddenly appeared in front of Birdman, sneered, and slapped him. For the current Lu Yuan and Alice, there are almost no weaknesses. If there is anything to say, it is that they still lack the necessary means for the power of magic. At least they're safe from kryptonite and the glow of the red fixed star. Birdman watched Lu Yuan's big hand getting closer and closer. At the moment, he couldn't dodge at all. He only had time to create a green shield made of energy in front of him. Then there was a pop, and Lu Yuan's slapped it up, smashing the shield in an instant. What's more, Lu Yuan's big hand continued to pat Birdman's body without any hindrance. Birdman also had the most common defensive cover of Green Lantern, but it was useless, unable to even stop Lu Yuan, and fell apart in an instant. He didn't even hum, and the sprayed ones were all over the place. Whoosh! A ball of green light wrapped the green light ring and was about to escape. Lu Yuan glanced at the ring. If he wanted, he could force it to stay, but he didn't. It's just the realization of ideas, and it can't even be truly turned into reality. And Lu Yuan can already rely on his own power to alter reality. If he wants, he can even create the universe. Therefore, the mere green light ring was naturally ignored by him, and he turned around to look for the next target. On the other side, in front of Alice, there was also a green light ring that quickly flew away after the owner died. In this way, the two began to kill each other. As the saying goes, the green light is no more than 5, and it will go out after 5. The Green Lantern here now has the entire Green Lantern Corps here, not just over 5, there are thousands of people. But with such a huge lineup, it is impossible to hurt Lu Yuan and Alice. Someone turned into a huge amount of weapon and used a terrifying chariot with a terrifying weapon like an electric drill spinning at the front end, directly hitting Lu Yuan's body. However, Lu Yuan directly resisted with his own strength and kicked the chariot to pieces. Alice was also attacked by several Green Lanterns. Those Green Lanterns should be very good at fighting, or turned into sledgehammers, or turned into chainsaws, and greeted Alice without mercy. Alice was also unambiguous, first punched and kicked to smash the weapons, and then released the terrifying heat ray, which instantly pierced through the bodies of several people and vaporized several Green Lanterns again. Another green light ring flew away. Alice turned her head to look at Lu Yuan, and saw that Lu Yuan didn't use heat ray at all, but relied on his own strength to quickly chase down those scattered Green Lanterns, and if he didn't catch up to anyone, he would easily kill one. His side is more brutal. Often a slap will be a cloud of blood mist, and then a green light ring will fly away quickly. At the moment, Apocalypse really seems to be raining green lights. As Lu Yuan and Alice started to attack, the green light rings flew away from the Apocalypse star one by one, sometimes in a large piece. That picture is spectacular, and the Green Lanterns finally saw the terrifying power of these two people. That is a terrifying existence that they cannot fight against with all their strength. In fact, at the very beginning, Green Lantern had gathered all his strength to fight against Lu Yuan and Alice, but the result was that they failed to catch the two of them in one fell swoop. In fact, their defeat has long been a certainty, but they have not seen the gap between them, Lu Yuan and Alice. In a blink of an eye, the Legion lost most of its members. They couldn't resist Alice's heat ray, they couldn't resist Lu Yuan's fist even more, and their attacks couldn't even cause the two of them the slightest trouble. 2.1 This was a one-sided crush. Lu Yuan and Alice didn't care about Green Lantern's attack at all, but resisted with their own strength and counterattacked at the same time. Alice has been using Heat Ray to instantly kill one Green Lantern after another, while Lu Yuan only relies on fists. Two people have two styles, but they are not slow to kill. Seeing the rain of green lights, the number of the Green Lantern Corps is getting smaller and smaller, and it will lose more than 1.5 days of manpower in a blink of an eye. By this time, even the big-name Green Lantern had to admit that this was an opponent they couldn't afford. "We must retreat. If we don't leave, everyone will die here," someone shouted. Lu Yuan sneered. "Want to leave? It's not that easy." Suddenly, another majestic voice resounded throughout the world. "That's right. How dare you intrude into my Yuga Khan's territory? No one can leave." Yuga Khan. 78. Just when the battle between Lu Yuan and Alice and the Green Lantern Corps was coming to an end, seeing that the Green Lantern Corps had lost more than half of it, from the initial lineup of thousands of people to now only a few hundred people were left in the distance looking at a loss. Suddenly, a strange voice broke in. "How dare you break into my Yuga Khan's territory? How dare you offend my Yuga Khan's Apocalypse Star? You are looking for your own death, and no one can leave." A huge body suddenly descended from the sky, arriving at Apocalypse Star like a god. When he appears, the entire Apocalypse Star seems to be in a pilgrimage. When he appeared in people's eyes, everyone's eyes were involuntarily attracted to him. He is Yuga Khan, and everyone seems to know his identity spontaneously. He is the true master of Apocalypse, and he is also the strongest representative of the new Protoss. It is his own strength that forcibly elevates the new Protoss to the status of the new Protoss. If Darkseid is still alive, just hearing Yuga Khan's name is enough to make him turn around and run away, not daring to have the slightest thought of confrontation. The power and terror of Yuga Khan is so exaggerated. Legend has it that Yuga Khan holds the power of origin and is known as the God of Origin. In order to obtain a more complete power of origin, he went to the Wall of Origin and was eventually stuck on it for countless years. The Wall of Origin, one of the most mysterious and greatest powers in the DC universe. Everything in the DC universe can be said to come from the power of origin. And those who are qualified to be hung on the wall of origin are also absolute gods. Ordinary minions can't even get close. After Daxiad's death, Yuga Khan broke free from the wall of origin with his own strength. He didn't even need to use the teleportation ability of the Mother Box, but flew back abruptly with his own strength. That's something Darkseid can't do. It is even said that the power that Yuga Khan inadvertently radiates by opening his eyes is enough to knock a planet out of orbit. Especially on the planet Apocalypse, this is his territory, and he can rewrite reality as he pleases. He's pretty much omnipotent here. He is the true master of the new Protoss and Apocalypse, and he is a terrifying existence far surpassing Darkseid. Definitely, if it's Daxiad's body, it's another matter. After all, Yuga Khan has been hanging on the wall of origin for too long. But now, Yuga Khan appeared in front of everyone, followed by a new army of gods. The leader is Steppenwolf. After Steppenwolf was exiled, he learned of Darkseid's death, and then he boldly found his way home. Then Steppenwolf met the returning Yuga Khan, and the two sides immediately formed a team. The real identity of Steppenwolf is uncle of Daxiad, the younger brother of Yuga Khan. He used to be Yuga Khan's subordinate, and now he has returned to Yuga Khan's command. Moreover, they came from the new Creation Star, and among the army of the new God Race, there are also new God Race fighters from the new Creation Star. It's just that the presence of the father is missing. Lu Yuan felt before that the new Creation Star, as a symbol of heaven, has a dead air. In fact, he felt right. Yuga Khan and Steppenwolf came from the new creation planet. They were conquering another new Protoss before, so they took the time to come here. Facing Lu Yuan and the Green Lantern Corps, Yuga Khan chose to roar in the direction of the Green Lantern Corps. "You ignorant boy! How dare you offend me, Yuga Khan? Die!" With just a loud roar, with just one roar, Yuga Khan caused a terrifying wave. And when that wave was transmitted to the lineup of the Green Lantern Corps, it was fatal. The terrible sound wave made the Green Lanterns squat down with their ears folded in pain, but it was still difficult to prevent Yuga Khan's voice from breaking into their brains. In the end, the Green Lanterns began to explode their heads one by one in boundless pain. Yuga Khan wiped out the rest of the Green Lanterns with just one roar. All of a sudden, hundreds of green light rings formed the largest green light rain and flew away. At this point, the Green Army was wiped out. So it is said that they are both big names and incompetent. They can only clamor. And the Green Lantern Corps really can't pass 5. Once it passes 5, the regiment will be wiped out, and it didn't run away. Seeing this scene, Alice approached Lu Yuan and said in a low voice, "It seems that this is a strong enemy. Yuga Khan is indeed powerful, and his strength is beyond doubt." Lu Yuan nodded silently. He also felt threatened. This is a ruthless person who can maintain self-awareness even when he is hung on the wall of origin, and can even break free with his own strength, which should not be underestimated. Anything that is linked to the wall of origin cannot be underestimated. Especially in Yuga Khan's home court, he is omnipotent on Apocalypse. But Lu Yuan did not back down, but looked at Yuga Khan, and in order to be fully prepared, he slowly revealed his real body and transformed into the form of Doomsday again. This time, the two looked evenly matched, and even Lu Yuan was even taller, with more muscular muscles. Yuga Khan, with a sturdy body 2 or 3 meters high, wears a helmet with a pair of horns on his head and a green cloak. He has the appearance and facial features of a human being. He was also looking at Lu Yuan, and he didn't act rashly like he did with the Green Lantern Corps before, but said, do you want to be my subordinate? I heard that you killed my son. I can let you be mine, son. I'm your father." Lu Yuan scolded directly. His face darkened. "And let him be his son? Let him be a father, let alone a son?" Yuga Khan's expression also froze for a moment, and then endless anger rose. "You are courting death. Let's see who can kill who," Lu 120 Yuan said, not to be outdone. The two giants immediately confronted each other, roaring at each other, like two monsters from ancient legends. The next moment, the two of them rushed out together and slammed their heads into each other fiercely. They actually said that they would fight as soon as they started, without any hesitation or temptation. Yuga Khan has no weapons, unlike Darkseid who held a halberd at first, nor a big axe like Steppenwolf. He relied entirely on his own pair of fists to compete with Lu Yuan. Needless to say, Lu Yuan, who turned into Doomsday, was like a muscular monster. With a pair of casserole-sized fists, he fought with Yuga Khan fist to flesh. On the other side, seeing Lu Yuan approaching, Alice was naturally not to be outdone, and rushed straight to Steppenwolf and the new Protoss army behind him. Steppenwolf only focused on Lu Yuan at the beginning. He remembered Lu Yuan. It was Lu Yuan who prevented Darkseid from conquering Krypton 100,000 years ago. He has also heard that it was Lu Yuan who killed Darkseid 100,000 years later. But today, Lu Yuan dared to start a war with Yuga Khan? However, suddenly, a beautiful figure broke into his eyes and kicked him away. "Hey, idiot! Where are you looking?" Alice raised her hand and hooked her fingers at the warriors of the new Protoss. "I'm here to play with you. Don't die too fast." 79. When the battle broke out between Lu Yuan and Yuga Khan, Alice also made a move. And the Steppenwolf dared to ignore her existence? It was just trying to die. Although Alice is not Doomsday and does not have many special abilities of Lu Yuan, she is also a female Superman. It is also the sixth dimension. It was she who proposed to create the universe into the cells at the beginning and later created countless super-fixed stars to enter it. Anyone who dares to underestimate her will pay the price. Steppenwolf knew this well. Just a face-to-face meeting, he was kicked out, even far away from the 38th sector. That is, he was kicked from Apocalypse to outside the range of Apocalypse and New Creation Star. Steppenwolf is already a powerful new Protoss, and his body is also one of the best among the Dark Elites. But he was still kicked. Where is he? What is this place? What happened just now? He was in the dark, completely unaware of what was going on. Before he could clear his mind, he felt that Alice had already caught up with him in a blink of an eye. "Your men have been wiped out by me, and only you are left. I will send you to see Darkseid." Alice also brought a message. In such a short period of time, she had put the Steppenwolf. All the subordinates of the new Protoss were wiped out. Steppenwolf showed an expression of disbelief. Those who accompanied him to launch a rebellion to challenge Darkseid's authority were finally exiled together, followed him for so long, and plundered so many new creations from New Genesis Star. The subordinates of the combat power have been wiped out by the regiment? What is the origin of this cruel woman? 100,000 years ago, you invaded us and caused my death and my husband's defection. You are the chief culprit of everything. 100,000 years later, I will ask you to pay the price of death, and I will let you exterminate your family, said Ai Lee Si said with a cold expression. Back then, Darkseid was the culprit of everything. If they hadn't threatened Krypton, Lu Yuan wouldn't have needed to be exposed, let alone trigger a series of subsequent incidents. Although Alice didn't know how to help Lu Yuan return to normal at that time, but at least it won't trigger that series of events. It's all the new Protoss, it's all Darkseid, and it's all the fault of Steppenwolf's. At least it's not venting anger. So Alice's heart is full of revenge flames. She is not in a hurry to kill Steppenwolf, but walks into him. The Steppenwolf swung the big axe and slashed at Alice's shoulder with a bang, making a dull sound. Khaleesi didn't even dodge, and easily accepted this move unscathed. Alice also smiled at the dumbfounded Steppenwolf, then raised her hand to hold the wrist of the Steppenwolf holding the handle of the axe and twisted it. Crack! Steppenwolf's arm twisted in an eerie way. Before the Steppenwolf could cry out in pain, Alice had already launched another attack, tore off the axe that the Steppenwolf could no longer hold, and slashed at it. Puff! Steppenwolf's other arm was also severed. Alice's expression was cold, and she was not in a hurry to kill the Steppenwolf, but to torture him, make him suffer, and let him understand how strong the anger of his husband and wife has been for so many years. The poor Steppenwolf had absolutely no power to fight back in front of Alice, and the two sides no longer belonged to the same realm. Even if Darkseid survived and stood in front of Alice, the result would be similar, with no power to resist. 100 years ago, Lu Yuan was already able to beat Darkseid to pieces, not to mention that after 100 years, they went through further training and achieved a qualitative leap. The most important thing is that Darkseid in this universe should be regarded as the weakest of all Darkseid duplications. It also led to the corresponding lack of strength of Steppenwolf and others in this universe. There is just one thing, that Yuga Khan flew over from the Wall of Origin, and the Wall of Origin is responsible for separating the infinite multi-universe from the parallel universe, which is equivalent to a barrier between multi-universes. That Yuga Khan also came from the multi-universe. He belongs to this universe and does not belong to this universe. At least that Yuga Khan does not have the concept of duplication. He is the real Yuga Khan. So maybe that Yuga Khan will be a huge amount of threat? Alice subconsciously glanced sideways at the direction of Apocalypse and found that Lu Yuan was fighting Yuga Khan fist to flesh. Those two people are extremely powerful, and now they are erupting with a terrifying power that can blow up a planet with every punch. If the Apocalypse Star is not the origin of the new Protoss, and it is the domain of Yuga Khan, that planet has long been destroyed. It exploded. Even so, The impact of the explosion of the two of them was enough to make the red super-fixed star near Apocalypse collapse into pieces. I have to say that Yuka Khan is really powerful. He also has a terrifying light similar to a heat ray, and he can emit terrifying energy from all over his body. Originally's power should not be underestimated. He can shoot a planet out by opening his eyelids. Orbit, let alone a full blow? Naturally, Lu Yuan is not to be outdone. If Yuga Khan explodes the ray, he will also release heat ray. If Yuga Khan emits energy, Lu Yuan will simply open the field of doomsday spores. Anyone who is not polite will eat it. As for fighting with fists and kicks, it is more in line with his intentions. To destroy Japan is to be immortal. In addition to his rough-skinned and thick-skinned defensive power and his uncompromising strength, he also has endless physical strength, his field of expertise. So the two continued to fight inextricably. Alice withdrew her gaze and didn't have to worry about Lu Yuan for the time being. She turned her head to look in another direction and then flew straight to Xinchuang Shixing. Xinchuang Shixing is also a new Protoss. The two planets used to belong to one, because the Father and Darkseid are brothers. It was only later that for some reason it split into two camps. In other words, Xinchuang Shixing is also her enemy. Alice would not let go of this opportunity, and with a blank face, she came straight here with the Steppenwolf's axe in one hand and the head of the Steppenwolf in the other. At the moment's new creation star doesn't look like heaven at all, because not long ago Yuga Khan brought the Steppenwolves to make a fuss here. Not only died many resistors, but also the surviving new Protoss panicked, not calmed down. Then Alice came. Maybe you don't deserve to die, but you don't deserve to live either. If you want to blame, blame Darkseid. If you want to blame you for being the new Protoss. The new Protoss wants to gain a higher status, and Darkseid's approach to conquering the universe is correct. He wants to take the Apocalypse star to a higher level, and the new creation star will rise with the tide even if it does nothing. But do other civilizations deserve to die? Since you have gained vested interests, and since you are enjoying this dividend, you will naturally need to pay the price and take risks. Alice slowly raised the big axe, and she was about to start. 80. Alice is not a gentle and weak woman. She also asked Lu Yuan if she felt that she was sometimes too cruel or cruel. As a result, Lu Yuan never thought of it that way. The reason is that Alice can be cruel to anyone, and she can be cruel to anyone, but she only gave him all the tenderness. Only Lu Yuan knows how gentle and virtuous Alice is. That's enough. Others don't need to think she is gentle, even if they think she is evil. So what? Lu Yuan will always stand by her side. Even if the whole world is against Alice, Lu Yuan will resist for her and the whole world. The same is true for Alice. They just have each other. Therefore, Alice was floating in the sky above Xinchuang Shixing. Although she also saw the tragic situation here, she knew that this place had just experienced the destruction of Yuga Khan. But so what? Aren't the other civilizations conquered by Darkseid not pitiful? Even if Xinchuang Shixing didn't participate, they didn't stop them, did they? They are enjoying the bonus silently, so don't they need to pay the price? Alice raised the axe in her hand, with a cruel smile on her lips. The axe in her hand was suddenly magnified countless times. It was originally an artifact made by 570 with Apocalypse star technology. The Steppenwolf itself could even use it to destroy a whole world, planet, and at the moment is in the hands of Alice, and she has magnified it countless times by means of alter reality, which can almost be compared with the new creation star in front of her. And then, in front of the countless new Protoss with terrified expressions, she ruthlessly dropped the axe in her hand. The entire Xinchuangshi star exploded immediately and was smashed into pieces by her axe. It's so crisp and neat. It's so ruthless. This is Alice, one of the few female generals on Krypton. She is also the representative of the Zod family of her generation, General Zod. Only one man can cover up her elegance. Rubbish. Turning around, Alice strode towards the Apocalypse star without leaving any hesitation. On the side of Apocalypse, the battle between Lu Yuan and Yukon has not yet been decided. Boom, boom, boom. The entire Apocalypse star was shrouded in successive roars, and the entire Apocalypse star was also trembling all the time. If this was not the origin of the new Protoss, if this was not Yuga Khan's domain, the ordinary planet would have collapsed long ago. Even the fixed star near Apocalypse has long since collapsed. It didn't die naturally, and before it even had time to transform into the next stage, the super red giant star died by itself. Neither Lu Yuan nor Yuga Khan paid any attention to it. Even if the Apocalypse star fell into endless darkness, they would not be affected in any way, and they were still fighting. It has to be said that Yuga Khan is very powerful. He can even withstand the attack from Lu Yuan. This is because this is the Apocalypse Star. He is the master here. He is almost omnipotent here. It also proves why he can hang on the Wall of Origin without being affected. There are many great gods hanging on the Wall of Origin, but there are few who can come down by themselves like Yuga Khan. Even Yuga Khan once retained his self-awareness and avoided several universe restarts. There have been many restarts and soft restarts in the DC universe, but the Wall of Origin has not been affected, which also makes him an extremely special existence. However, even Yuga Khan felt tricky when facing Lu Yuan, because not only Lu Yuan's attack could not hurt Yuga Khan in a short time, but also Yuga Khan's power could not threaten Lu Yuan. Damn it, why is it so hard to deal with? Yuga Khan shouted impatiently, swinging a pair of huge amounts of fists, and smashed hard on Lu Yuan's body. Lu Yuan took a few steps back, and more magma erupted from the ground under his feet, as if the planet was also crying. Even if this is the Apocalypse Star, it will gradually be unable to withstand the impact of the battle between the two of them. Before Lu Yuan could stabilize his footsteps, Yuga Khan's eyes suddenly burst into two terrifying rays of light, instantly illuminating this cosmic space, brighter than the red giant star that hadn't collapsed before. It fell. Boom. The terrifying light hit Lu Yuan accurately. Lu Yuan took a dozen steps back again. Shwa. Alice broke into the battlefield in an instant and came behind Yuga Khan. She abandoned the Steppenwolf's axe, which was just used to chop up the new creation star, and she was not good at that. Standing on Yuga Khan's back, Alice was not polite. A pair of slender hands clenched into fists, and her left hand accurately hit Yuga Khan's waist from bottom to top. Even though she looked so petite in front of the two behemoths, her fists also looked so inconspicuous. But when Yuga Khan felt a terrible force and pain, he still couldn't help but tilted his waist and felt his spine screaming. This punch almost killed him. It's so powerful. Yuga Khan felt shocked in his heart. That inconspicuous little girl actually gave him a surprise joy that is not weaker than Lu Yuan's powerful strength. Even, Alice's right fist attacked again, deliberately waiting for Yuga Khan to lower his body, and the punch rushed to the back of his head with precision and ruthlessness. This is really taking advantage of your illness to kill you. Alice's ruthlessness is fully displayed at this moment. However, a big hand suddenly pressed Alice's hand and shook his head at her. Alice snorted softly and fled away in an instant. There is only one person who can make her stop so lightly, even if she has already touched the back of Yuga Khan's head, and may even blow Yuga Khan's head with 10 punches. But she still didn't have any hesitation, so she withdrew as soon as she let go. Just because that person is Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan smiled in the direction where Alice was leaving and said, "Don't worry, this guy does hold clues to the power of origin. Wait until I see what's going on, and then eat him." In fact, Lu Yuan is not as unbearable as he showed before. Yuga Khan is indeed powerful, but Lu Yuan has even eaten the ghost-level Sangong demon, and he has not yet used his real power. Lu Yuan took a fancy to the power of origin mastered by Yuga Khan and figured out what it was. The power of origin is one of the most mysterious things in the DC universe. You don't need to master it, but you must know what it is. Because with the current strength and realm of Lu Yuan and Alice, all the opponents they will meet in the future will be opponents of this level. This is like a fantasy novel. As one's level and realm improve, not only will one's horizons be broadened, but the enemies encountered will also become stronger and stronger. What if there was even going to be another rivalry at Almighty Universe level in the future? The DC universe is far from being as simple as it seems on the surface, and Darkseid has become a thing of the past. How many enemies are waiting for him to challenge in the future? The Hands of the Void, giant beasts, and even DC God. 81. After dissuading Alice and not letting her help, Lu Yuan turned to Yuga Khan again. "Come on, continue," Lu Yuan beckoned, as if he didn't take Yuga Khan seriously, because he really didn't get hurt. Just now, he obviously took Yuga Khan's 2 attacks head-on, but he didn't seem to be affected at all. Because during the battle between the two, Lu Yuan has gradually begun to be immune to Yuga Khan's attack. Don't forget that he is the Day of Destruction. Yuga Khan's attack started to have no effect on Lu Yuan, from ordinary fist attacks, to terrifying energy launches, to his unique ray and so on. Yuga Khan also noticed it. His expression became gloomy. He squinted his eyes slightly to look at Lu Yuan, and said slowly, "You said you want to see my origin power?" Lu Yuan nodded. "Indeed." Yuga Khan raised his head and laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha, what an arrogant guy. If that's the case, then I'll let you see it." Suddenly, a terrifying aura emanated from Yuga Khan's body, and a force that even made Lu Yuan feel palpitated slowly emerged. wrapping Lu Yuan up in an instant. It was an indescribable feeling. That power did not belong to any kind, but it seemed to be related to all powers. That is the power of origin, from the other side of the wall of origin, from the place of origin. There is a mysterious origin outside the wall of origin, where the truth of the universe comes from, but no one can approach it. Only those supreme beings can visit, including ghosts. And those lamp beasts that can be seen on the emotional spectrum all come from outside the wall of origin. So it is said that the talents possessed by those lamp beasts are so extraordinary. For example, the Ion Man in the form of Green Lantern, the Bloodtucker in the form of the Red Lantern Demon, and the Parallax Demon, and so on. At the moment, what Yuga Khan radiates is exactly the power of origin that he has mastered. He is known as the God of Origin, and before he got the power of origin, his name was Zonos. Only after becoming the God of Origin, he is Yuga Khan. At this moment, even Lu Yuan felt threatened, because the power of origin was doing a very dangerous behavior, and Yuga Khan's power of origin was actually disconnecting him from the world. In other words, the power of origin is making Lu Yuan not belong to this world, which is equivalent to obliterating his existence. Can Yuga Khan do this? It seems to affect the real world, which is equivalent to someone using an eraser to erase a drawn character. It was terrible, and even Lu Yuan didn't know how to resist. Once the power of origin disconnects Lu Yuan from all of this, the proof of his existence, and even himself, will disappear. Maybe even Alice will forget him, as if nothing happened, as if everything related to Lu Yuan never happened. Damn it, how could this happen? I am me. I am Lu Yuan from Earth in the real world, and I am Lu Yuan Al from Krypton. Although I no longer recognize Krypton, but no one can put me, no one can deprive you of existence. Lu Yuan cried out unwillingly, and finally stopped holding back, and wanted to use all means. Yuga Khan looked at Lu Yuan's futile struggle with a sneer. It's useless. No matter what abilities you have, only the power of origin can fight against the power of origin. Otherwise, you are all ants. Even if you get my son's Omega, so what about Ray? I can still disconnect you at will. Snapped. As soon as Yuga Khan's voice fell, the connection between Lu Yuan and the Omega effect was interrupted. Lu Yuan felt unbelievable. Yuga Khan is so powerful? The power of origin is so unreasonable? He was careless, and insisted that he was the immortal Day of Destruction, thinking that no one in this universe could be his opponent anymore. As a result, Yuga Khan flew back from the wall of origin. In theory, Yuga Khan neither belongs to any universe, but also belongs to any universe at the same time. In order to experience the power of origin, Lu Yuan deliberately didn't make a full shot, but he ignored that even if the lion catches the rabbit with all his strength, he will eventually pay the price for his self-satisfaction. But the price of this lesson is too great. Once it is true what Yuga Khan said, he will not be able to bear it. Alice was also in a hurry and came back here again. She wanted to rush in immediately to rescue Lu Yuan, but Yuga Khan stopped in front of her. The extraordinary Yuga Khan, who already knew Alice, would never underestimate this girl again, and said with a sneer, "You can only watch him disappear, and then you will be next. You want my allegiance." Alice's expression was as cold as ice. "If you dare to hurt my husband, I will wipe out all the new Protoss in the endless multi-universe. I will kill your kindred in every universe, and I will chase you to the Cape of Tianya. No matter how big the universe is, you can't escape." But even Yuga Khan could feel her sternness. If begging was okay, she would kneel down for Lu Yuan without any hesitation. She knew that begging was useless, so she was using threats to warn Yuga Khan, hoping that he would have some scruples. Asking for flowers. However, Yuga Khan didn't follow that set. "When you went to Xinchuang Shixing to kill those new Protoss, when you killed Steppenwolf, my younger brother, did I ever care about it?" Yuga Khan sneered. "I don't even care about myself. I don't care about the life or death of my sons. If necessary, I can kill them with my own hands. Do you think I will care about your threats?" Alice gritted her teeth and shouted, "Then you will die." She rushed towards Yuga Khan desperately. At this moment she went crazy and made a stormy attack on Yuga Khan, clenched her fists with both hands. The speed has far exceeded the speed of light, and even the whole person seems to have disappeared same. Ordinary people can't see her existence anymore. But Yuga Khan is not an ordinary person. He also entered the same speed, resisting Alice's attack with all his strength. But Yuga Khan has a huge advantage over Alice. That is, it is enough for him not to let Alice get close to Lu Yuan. Alice was very anxious, but there was nothing she could do. Yuga Khan is by no means an opponent that can be easily dealt with. So what should we do? On the other side, the trapped Lu Yuan was also in a hurry. He found that his strength was indeed being corroded by the power of origin, and he could even feel that his own realm was also falling. When the connection with the Omega rays was disconnected, he was peeled off from the 6th dimension and then fell from the 5th dimension, and now he only has brute force, but even his own strength seems to be disappearing. This made his resistance more and more weak. Lu Yuan has tried all means, heat ray, physical power, doomsday spores, all the means he can think of, but they are all useless. Rather, if the current Lu Yuan can break through the power of origin with his own strength, then that is to say, he has reached the realm and qualification to cross the wall of origin to visit the origin. In that case, he would already be close to the almighty universe. At least for now, he is not qualified enough. Not a question of strength, but a question of some kind of qualification. He is even far inferior to the significance of Darkseid's body in the DC universe. At least not now. Could it be that Lu Yuan really wants to leave the stage so aggrieved? How is it possible? He is the protagonist. At a critical moment, a green shark swam over from the depths of the universe and plunged into Lu Yuan's body. In an instant, Ion Man Lu Yuan was born. But didn't he just kill the Green Lantern Corps? How come the Lantern Beasts of the Green Lantern Corps came to accomplish him? 82. Back in time, just before the battle between Lu Yuan and Yujia Khan, when Yujia Khan yelled to death and finally defeated Green Lantern. When the Green Lantern Corps was completely wiped out, countless Green Lantern rings turned into a dazzling rain of Green Lanterns returned to OA Star. The Asgardians of the universe felt it right away, and they knew right away that the Green Lantern Corps was wiped out. So, it really is still necessary to activate the Third Army plan. Without further delay, the situation has gotten out of control. In order to prevent those two people from coming back to retaliate, we must immediately launch the Third Army plan. It's time. He has been imprisoned for 10 billion years. It's time for him to contribute his strength. The little blue people started not knowing what to do again. But they overlooked one thing. In the OUA star, which is the total power supply of the Green Lantern Corps, there is a more noble and great spirit of existence, 130, that is the embodied entity representing the will, that is, the Ion Shark. The Ion Shark is the same as the Blood Butcher. It is the embodiment of will, and has its own wisdom. When it first felt the destruction of the Green Lantern Corps, it was angry and full of hatred, because every Green Lantern seems to be its child and continuation. But when Ion Shark went to the Asgardians in the universe, wondering if they could form a new Green Lantern Corps as soon as possible, they heard the Asgardians in the universe talking. The Third Legion will not have superfluous emotions, and they can assimilate everything they touch. When the entire universe is purified and all superfluous emotions disappear, the universe will usher in true peace. In other words, it is to erase the self-awareness of all life in the universe except them. Is this their way of peace? Ion Shark was shocked. Although negative emotions like greed, fear, and anger do exist on the emotional spectrum, but there are also positive emotions such as will and hope. And for a long time, the Green Lantern Corps has been obeying the command of the Asgardians and scattered all over the universe to protect the so-called peace. What is the result in exchange? Who sent the Green Lantern Corps to kill? And what about them? Are they actually thinking about this? Even when these cosmic Asgardians headed to an incomparably mysterious shadow area in order to form the Third Legion, even their kindred, some of them who had stayed here since countless billions of years ago to guard a certain dangerous creature, still had the big blue people with the same height as ordinary people were also shocked by the plans of the little blue people. Are you going to let him out? Damn, don't you know how dangerous he is? You guys took away your emotions and built a great heart, but then forced the great heart on him. In the end, he sealed him because he couldn't control him, and now he wants to use him? It's crazy. There is an extremely dangerous existence imprisoned there, even existed 10 billion years ago, and it has not died yet. Some secrets were faintly revealed from the mouths of those big blue men. It's just not convenient to explain in detail now, and I will mention it later. In short, Ion Shark finally recognized the true colors of these little blue people, and also learned a huge amount of secret. Without any hesitation, the Ion Shark escaped from the OA star. It traveled countless cosmic distances and came to the Apocalypse star. Just in time for Lu Yuan to encounter difficulties, Ion Shark plunged into Lu Yuan's body without even thinking about it. Before Lu Yuan could stop him, the voice of Ion Shark sounded in his heart. I will not control your body. I will give you strength. I come from the other side of the wall of origin. We are the emotional spectrum and the power of origin. You can use my strength to fight against the power of origin. And after you defeat your opponent, I hope you can do me a favor. Lu Yuan's heart moved, and in an instant, he was covered with a battle suit full of Green Lantern style. and he even felt that the power of origin could no longer easily surround him. Even the previously disconnected forces are beginning to return. At this moment, Lu Yuan's mood is complicated. He caused the demise of the Green Lantern Corps not long ago, but he didn't expect to become Ion Man in a blink of an eye. Isn't this too messed up? Why on earth did Ion Shark come to help him? Lu Yuan didn't know why Ion Shark did this, and he didn't have the time to ask. Feeling his own strength recovering rapidly, he re-entered the fifth dimension from the realm of ordinary people, and immediately broke through to the sixth dimension and even had some insights. There is a faint sign of going to a higher level and reaching the mysterious seventh dimension. Lu Yuan couldn't help sighing. As the saying goes, all saints are ants, although this sentence may have other meanings. But under the power of origin, they are really ants. Lu Yuan felt it. He finally got his wish to see the power of origin, but he almost paid a heavy price for it. This taught him a lesson, and from then on, he never dared to take it seriously. Looking at Yuga Khan again, Lu Yuan looked down at his current form again. The terrifying physique of Doomsday, which was 3 meters tall, was covered with a layer of green tights, which looked awkward no matter how you looked at it. Can't I just change the color? Lu Yuan muttered that the green made him a little flustered. If Ion Shark didn't hear it, it represents the will of the green. It's impossible to change it to something else. Lu Yuan had no choice but to leave it like this for the time being. Raising his hand, Lu Yuan plunged into Yuga Khan's power of origin. The power that had put him in a huge crisis before was quickly absorbed by him at the moment in front of the spores of the Doomsday. What? Yuga Khan sensed something and came quickly from a distance. Alice also quickly took the opportunity to come to the other side. Both saw Lu Yuan's new form and saw that he was absorbing the power of origin. No, Yuga Khan shouted, anxiously wanting to take back his power of origin, which must not be lost, just like the Omega Ray for Daxiot. And it seems to be for Darkseid the anti-life equation for the Anti-Monitor. That is the lifeblood of Yuga Khan, the source of all his strength, and if there is any loss, his original existence will also disappear. Why didn't Yuga Khan use the power of origin on Lu Yuan from 1.8? It's because he didn't want to take the risk. But how could Lu Yuan let go? And winked at Alice. And after his wife understood and left a certain distance, Lu Yuan's body suddenly shone brightly. He exerted the terrifying power of the Doomsday Spores with all his strength, not only absorbing the surrounding origin power as much as possible. Yuga Khan, who was connected to this place, was surprised to find that his vitality was rapidly disappearing. Originally, the new Protoss were immortal, especially him, who almost lived and died with the universe. But now, Lu Yuan took a breath in his direction. Yuga Khan immediately aged several decades. What is this? Yuga Khan was shocked. He was going to be sucked to death by Lu Yuan? This time it was his turn to be in danger of being erased from existence. 83. The god of origin, Yuga Khan, is not insignificant. It can be said that he belongs to this universe and at the same time does not belong to this universe. He came from the wall of origin, which is equivalent to coming to this single universe from the multi-universe. It can be said that he is very powerful and one of the few powerful enemies. Even when Yuga Khan fully erupted the power of origin, even Lu Yuan was threatened by huge amounts of, and even Alice was so anxious that she had to use threats to make Yuga Khan afraid. In the end, it was still relying on external forces to make Lu Yuan survive. The Ion Shark also comes from the Wall of Origin, even a higher level of origin power than Yuga Khan. Because the Lamp Beasts, including the Ion Shark, really came from the place of origin outside the Wall of Origin. But what about Yuga Khan? He is just hanging on the Wall of Origin. Can this be the same? Therefore, Lu Yuan can rely on the Ion Shark to support his own power of origin to break through Yuga Khan's threat to himself, and even take advantage of the trend to use the power of destroying the Sunspores to use the power of origin accumulated by Yuga Khan so hard. Absorbed? No. Yuga Khan roared in despair. Once he loses the power of origin, he will be just an ordinary new Protoss. By this time, Yubian Khan was no longer a threat. Lu 31 Yuan even ate a ghost-level Sangong demon, let alone him. Facing Yuga Khan again, Lu Yuan will no longer be careless and complacent, and he has learned a lesson from his previous experience. The lion hunts the rabbit with all its strength. If I dare to be careless again, I will slap myself to death, Lu Yuan warned himself, walking in front of Yuga Khan. Yuga Khan stood there sluggishly. He knew that everything was over, and he didn't even resist Lu Yuan's doomsday spores anymore, allowing his own life to be quickly absorbed by Lu Yuan. Even when Lu Yuan raised his hand and slapped it down, Yuga Khan didn't dodge. With a sound of poof, Yuga Khan fell. His death is not injustice, since the Blood Butcher incarnation of the Blood Butcher and the three palace demons caused huge amounts of troubles to Lu Yuan with their magic power respectively. He is the third powerful person who poses a threat to Lu Yuan opponent. And Yujia Khan is worthy of Yujia Khan. He is the first terrible opponent who made Lu Yuan feel powerless for a while and almost disappeared. Lu Yuan also took this opportunity to realize that he must not get carried away with complacency, and he must know that there are people beyond others, and no one has the ability to suppress the bottom of the box. The power of origin? Lu Yuan clenched his fists, and Yuga Khan's power of origin was absorbed by him. Although he was not familiar with it yet, he really felt the difference. Including the power brought by the Ion Shark, he truly experienced the feeling of omnipotence. Again, both he and Alice are wild people, unlike five-dimensional people including troublemakers who can use their abilities more skillfully. But now it is different. He has mastered the mystery of the power of origin. If he faced the previous opponents again, he was confident that he could instantly kill them all, and it wouldn't be a problem even if they went together. Alice, Lu Yuan raised his head and waved at Alice. Alice flew over quickly. Her tricks come and go, completely different from the previous ferocious appearance, like a little bee, flying around the flower. Lu Yuan, very diligent. But the most important thing is that Lu Yuan still looks like Doomsday, like a monster, and children dare not cry when they see it. Lu Yuan turned off his Doomsday spores and stretched out his hand to emit a cloud of energy. Alice reached out to take it without any hesitation, and then showed a surprised expression. This is the power of origin? Lu Yuan nodded. That's right. He shared the power of origin with Alice. There is no difference between them. What is his is hers. He can give her everything except not being ruined. Alice was not polite either. She absorbed it casually, and then she looked at Lu Yuan with a strange face and muttered, "How did you become like this?" Lu Yuan also had a strange expression on his face and shrugged his shoulders. "I don't know. The Ion Shark came suddenly just now, and it really helped me solve the crisis. Otherwise, I don't know how to solve it." Hearing this, Alice was very angry and glared at Lu Yuan with her hips on her waist. "So why were you trying to be brave before? Let's kill that guy together, and then you can eat him again. Won't it be over? Why do you want to fight alone?" Machismo. She was very angry because Lu Yuan was once in crisis, and she almost lost him too. Lu Yuan was very guilty and quickly laughed and said, "I was wrong. No matter what kind of enemy we encounter next time, we will fight together as a husband and wife." "It's not too bad," Alice snorted softly, warning Lu Yuan. "If you dare to die, I won't live anymore." Yes, you die and I die and you die," Lu Yuan agreed, sounding ominous but could see their feelings. When one dies, the other will not live alone, just as Lu Yuan has been guarding her for hundreds of thousands of years. Alice rolled her eyes before giving up. Then the two began to ponder again. Lu Yuan is no ordinary Green Lantern, and he doesn't need a Green Lantern ring, let alone a so-called recharge. Because the Ion Shark is the total energy battery of the Green Lantern core, it is now attached to Lu Yuan, making Lu Xian, who has become an Ion Man, almost omnipotent. But why? Does this shark have that syndrome? Alice complained. And the suit is ugly. Lu Yuan also had the same experience, and quickly changed back to an ordinary person and put on a white suit again. He didn't want that green tights. Just when the couple were sparing no effort to rant, Ion Shark 763 finally couldn't take it anymore, and emerged from Lu Yuan's body, turning into a shark and swimming around the two of them, saying, "I say you are enough. After all, I also helped you. And this is how you treat your benefactors. Even if you don't say thank you, why is my color so unwelcoming?" Ion Shark definitely doesn't know what green represents. It's fortunate that it's not a hat. Otherwise, Lu Yuan would only be more irritable. Alice squinted at Ion Shark. "Come on, you must have some purpose. Tell me what's going on. If you want to ask us to do something we don't want to do, be careful that we eat you." The Ion Shark shivered. Although they all appeared in the form of animals, it was the first time someone wanted to eat them. It was too cruel. Shaking its tail, the Ion Shark ran away from Alice and ran to the other side of Lu Yuan. Alice curled her lips. "You really don't know who is more dangerous. That person eats without any scruples. Didn't you see that Choja Khan has disappeared?" Yuga Khan. In addition to the commendable power of origin, his original power is absolutely worthy of being the strongest new Protoss. Lu Yuan has received great benefits again. At least one multi-universe level of power has been added. The biggest advantage of definitely is the power of origin. And the power of origin represented by Yujia Khan should be disconnect or erasure. 84. Anyway, the battle with Yuga Khan is finally over. It's just that now is not the time to count the spoils, because why the Ion Shark suddenly came to help them is a question. Don't forget, Lu Yuan and Alice just killed the Green Lantern Corps. At least 2/3 of the Green Lanterns were killed by them. The Ion Shark is the source of power for the Green Lantern Corps. Why did it suddenly come to join the enemy? What purpose does it serve? Facing the vigilance and doubts of Lu Yuan and Alice, Ion Shark finally explained the reason. Actually, the universe is facing a huge crisis of destruction. Lu Yuan scratched his hair. Alice also tossed her hair at the same time and said to Lu Yuan heroically, "Honey, let's go." Yes, Lu Yuan was in the state of offending someone, so he felt a little guilty and immediately followed obediently. The falling Ion Shark was dumbfounded, stared blankly at the two, and shouted, "What's the matter with you? What I'm talking about is that the entire universe will be destroyed, and you will not be spared." Alice stood still and said without looking back, "Aren't the Asgardians in your universe peaceful Asgardians? Let them go." But Ion Shark said, "But the crux of the problem is that they created this crisis. They are planning a terrifying plan. They want to create a terrifying Third Legion and then wipe out all the emotions in the universe. Once the entire universe is assimilated, it will be no different from being destroyed." Lu Yuan and Alice exchanged glances. Lu Yuan spread his hands. "So, I don't owe them any favors at all. Not only do I immediately give in when I encounter a powerful enemy, but more than half of the major events in the universe are not caused by them, but they are involved. Anyway, they don't do good things. Do everything but do nothing." It can be seen how bad Lu Yuan's senses are towards those little blue people. Alice sighed and said to Ion Shark, "Then tell me what's going on." Lu Yuan raised his hand graciously and snapped his fingers, creating a chair behind Alice. Alice sat down amusedly and angrily, and saw him reach out to the distance where the new creation star once belonged, and pulled the younger and brighter fixed star over. The super red giant here was destroyed by the impact of the battle between Lu Yuan and Yujir Khan, which plunged the place into darkness. As the fixed star quickly flew over, the place was bright again. Then Lu Yuan obediently stood behind Alice, reaching out to help her pinch her arms and tap her shoulders. Alice finally couldn't take it anymore and said, "Okay, there is nothing to be courteous about, or or theft, and I didn't say that you should sleep on the ground at night." Only then did Lu Yuan smile happily. Ion Shark was speechless. This mouthful of dog food was really caught off guard. "Business is important, business is important." Ion Shark hastily reminded the two that it still has important matters to announce. Then, Ion Shark said the information he knew. "Actually, I know that the Asgardians in the universe have evil intentions. They have always maintained a suspicious attitude towards the Green Lantern Corps, and even used various methods to suppress and even guard against the Green Lantern Corps. Nor would the Green Lanterns get to know each other. They've always had a hard time with people being emotional. However, it can be seen that the emotional spectrum represents the power of emotion, and the Green Lantern Corps is the means they rely on most now. That's why they held back until today, taking this opportunity to send all members of the Green Lantern Corps. They don't care if the Green Lantern Corps can defeat Lu Yuan and Alice, including their complete annihilation, because the plan of the Asgardians is to call out all the Green Lantern Corps, and then use this opportunity to carry out their real plan. Things can be traced back to 10 billion years ago, but Ion Chicken Bud mentioned an even older secret. It turns out that the Green Lantern Ring and the Green Lantern Corps were not created by the Asgardians in the universe at all. In fact, they were technology brought by a person from another universe as early as 10 billion years ago. The man called himself Hwoarang. Hwoarang is from another universe, and his universe has been destroyed. In order to find a way to save his own universe and help other universes maintain peace, Hwoarang traveled through countless universes and finally came to the age when the Asgardians had not yet risen. At that time, the little blue people did not have the so-called status they have now. At that time, the little blue people were not so short. It was Fu Rong who brought the relevant technology, and it was also the way Fu Rong helped the little blue people master how to use the power of the emotional spectrum. As a result, during this period, some little blue people felt that emotions were redundant and deprived themselves of emotions, thus giving birth to the so-called Great Heart. Next, they created the first ring, the so-called Chidengding ring, and gave it to Fu Rong. So far everything is normal. The real out of control is because, for the sake of the experiment, they also gave Fu Rong the Great Heart together. Good guy. They stripped themselves of their emotions out of fear of their emotional power being turned into a weapon and integrated all of their emotions into one person. As a result, I lost control all of a sudden and was imprisoned by the Asgardians for this reason. That was already a story of 10 billion years ago, But Fu Rong, as the first Lantern Man, has lived until now. Now they plan to release the Furong, and then use the power of the Furong to create the Third Army, which is a kind of monster without emotions, and even has the ability to assimilate. They intend to purge the entire universe of all emotion, believing that only this will bring true peace. But they don't know the power of Hurong. The first Lantern Ring has the power of all spectra, and can even directly use and absorb the power of all spectra. Once we let Fu Rong out of trouble, the whole universe will be in danger, and the crazy Hua Rong will definitely, Qian Zhao, retaliate. What's more, the Third Legion is also a product of their twisted madness, and they must not be allowed to succeed. Ion Shark told all the information he knew, which is why he desperately came to find Lu Yuan and Alice. It definitely knows that Lu Yuan and Alice killed almost all Green Lanterns, but it knows even more that the culprits who really caused the Green Lantern Corps massacre were those little blue men who caused trouble. Could it be that Lu Yuan and Alice have to hang around and wait to be killed? And now that it involves the crisis of the whole universe, it can only count on these two people. That's why it came to join Lu Yuan, and it had no other choice. After listening to all the ins and outs that Ion Shark told, Lu Yuan and Alice glanced at each other, both a little speechless. Those little blue people who are causing trouble, what are they guarding? It turns out that they are the ones who made it all up. 85. The Asgardians of the universe can't be counted on anymore, because they are the ones who play tricks. The Green Lantern Corps can't be counted on anymore, because they have been abandoned by the Asgardians in the universe, and even more than half of them were wiped out by Lu Yuan and Alice. So, now we can only rely on Lu Yuan and Alice. Even Ion Shark has no choice but to choose to cross countless cosmic distances, and also has to choose to cooperate with them who have wiped out the Green Lantern Corps. The Ion Shark has no choice. First of all, there are not many people who can choose. Although it didn't say in detail how powerful that Chulman Hurong is, it can be known without thinking. A person who has lived for 10 billion years can still be alive and kicking the guy, and the power to manipulate the entire emotional spectrum originally speaks for itself. The second is also related to Lu Yuan and Alice. It is also because of your appearance that the Asgardians in the universe have seized this opportunity, and they believe that emotions are unnecessary and hidden dangers. So you have to take responsibility. Ion Shark had to put on his big hats in order to convince them up. Lu Yuan definitely won't take the blame, and said with a sneer, "What? They still think that we humiliated them before? Didn't they claim to have eliminated all unnecessary emotions?" Ion Shark said, "As long as the self-awareness is retained, it is absolutely impossible to be truly ruthless, otherwise 303, and they will not occupy the so-called holy place to show their superior side, and they will not always maintain their attitude towards the Green Lantern Corps. Suspicion, let alone fear." Although the Ion Shark represents the realization of will and is opposite to the yellow light representing fear, it can clearly feel that the Asgardians in the universe have fear in their hearts. And what it says makes sense, since self-awareness is still retained, then originally is proof of emotion. Otherwise, why don't they send themselves to the incinerator? "It's not impossible to help you," Lu Yuan said. Ion Shark paused, almost died of anger. Help it? It is trying to say that for the Lantern Beasts, even if the universe destroys them, they will not die, but will return to the origin outside the Wall of Origin. Even they are originally equivalent to every universe in the multi-universe. If they are unique, then wouldn't other universes have Green Lantern? Well, instead, it turned out to be helping it. So who is it helping? Lu Yuan didn't give Ion Shark a chance to speak, and continued. "But I have one condition, to help us master DBFC, the method of origin power. It is still the power of origin, and Lu Yuan, who has seen the power and necessity of the power of origin, will definitely not let go of this opportunity. Different from their self-taught wild way, the Lamp Beast originally is the embodiment of the power of origin. Under the power of origin, they are all ants, and I don't want to suffer anymore," Lu Wanlesi explained. Only he who has personally experienced being suppressed by the power of origin is qualified to say this. They are already strong enough, and because of this opportunity, Lu Yuan has touched the threshold of the 7th dimension, hoping to reach a higher dimension. However, he was still threatened by the power of origin, and was almost disconnected by Yuga Khan. Originally, they were at least evenly matched, but once the power of origin came out, everything was different. So Lu Yuan couldn't miss this opportunity, and took the opportunity to make a request. "You can let us become Ion Man respectively, and then take us to experience the true power of origin." Lu Yuan even thought of a way. Ion Shark felt that he had been fooled. Did he already have his own ideas when it possessed Lu Yuan to help him out of the predicament? Even Alice thought it was funny, but she didn't feel sorry for the ion shark because it didn't need to pay any price. It just let them enter that state by possessing them. Anyway, it's a matter of little effort, and since you are so respectful to that evil warrior, I think we also need some means to get close, don't we? Besides, we have mastered the power of Yuga Khan's origin, but we don't know how to do it yet. Go use it, Alice also chimed in, and she also looked at the ion shark with a malicious expression. The ion shark flicked its tail and fled far away, not daring to get too close to Alice. I always felt that her eyes were full of swords, and she really wanted to miss me, right? They are all pure energy bodies, and they don't have real physical bodies. Lu Yuan and Alice don't know how crazy they are now. The poor ion shark is threatened and lured by them, and after going around, how come it seems to be begging them? Although it is true that it came to ask them for help, but it is a big event that concerns the entire universe. Why not be serious and nervous? I understand, but you have to promise me one thing. Ion Shark suddenly raised a condition. When you become Ion Man, you will have omnipotent means. I hope that after this matter is over, you can revive all dead Green Lanterns. Oh. The two exchanged glances non-committally. The Ion Shark may not know that those Green Lanterns killed by Alice with Heat Ray and Omega Ray are erased from the sense of existence, and it is difficult to revive them. Unexpectedly, Ion Shark seems to have guessed their thoughts and said, as you said, the power of origin is nothing under the power of origin. So as long as you have enough beliefs, coupled with my power of origin, it is enough to turn those the dead Green Lantern is reawakened. I have said it several times, lanterns are originally the embodiment of the emotional spectrum, so their power is completely different from ordinary Green Lanterns. Even Ion Man can achieve almost omnipotent power. Originally, the power of the will is idealistic. How strong the willpower is and how rich the imagination is, the stronger and more unpredictable the power that can be exerted. Make a deal. Lu Yuan immediately agreed. This is not an embarrassing condition. It's just to resurrect those Green Lanterns who were killed once. If they still don't know what to do, then kill them again. It's not difficult. The most urgent thing now is to use the power of Ion Sharks to make them truly understand the meaning of the power of origin, and the other is to stop the ambitions and plans of those little blue men who are killing them. Do you want to assimilate the whole universe into a boring universe that has no emotion and even loses itself? Looks like we're going to be heroes again, Alice joked. She knew that Lu Yuan didn't want to be a hero. Neither of them had a superhero plot and that belief. They are self-interested and generally do not involve their affairs, and they are too lazy to participate, otherwise the Earth will not become more and more chaotic. In the end, they may have to participate in another big event involving the whole universe, which really backfired. 86. The matter here is over, and Lu Yuan finally knows why he has an intuition that asks him to come to Apocalypse. His bad premonition was precisely because of Yuga Khan, and the facts also prove that Yuga Khan posed a considerable threat to him. But the result was good. Not only did he defeat Yuga Khan, but he also obtained the power of Yuga Khan's origin, and even absorbed Yuga Khan's powerful power as the strongest new Protoss. The next thing to do is to go to Oastar to stop the ambitions of those little blue people, and at the same time let Alice understand what the power of origin is by becoming Green Lantern. Lu Yuan has already felt it, and Alice is next. So she was also forced to put on the Ion Shark battlesuit, the same style of green tights. Do I have to wear this? Alice grinned straightly. She had laughed at Lu Yuan before, but now it's her turn. The Ion Shark has already possessed Alice, which is equivalent to becoming her power, and she feels wronged in her heart. Lu Yuan and Alice disliked its battle suit one by one. It is too much. Lu Yuan could only comfort him with a smile. Okay, I don't want you to wear it all the time. Just let it go for a while. After you master the power of origin, you can change it back. They are not trying to master the power of will that the Ion Shark symbolizes. Lu Yuan divided Yuga Khan's origin power into two halves, one for him and one for Alice. What they want to understand is the meaning of the power of origin. Because only in this way can one fully grasp that power, otherwise it cannot be used, like a beggar holding a golden rice bowl. Obviously the golden rice bowl is the most valuable, but he doesn't know how to use it. Now they are like entrepreneurs with capital, but lack the knowledge to use it. So they had to fly over along the way, and they couldn't directly open the door of space. Maybe it will be a bit slower, but according to Ion Shark, the first Lantern Man, Huarong, has been released, and Huarong is the biggest threat. As for the Third Legion, it doesn't matter now that this is the case. It is better to be fully prepared before facing the enemy. Just like that, Lu Yuan and Alice in the form of an Ion Shark immediately set sail. What to do here? Before leaving, Alice looked back in the direction of the apocalypse star. Without even thinking about it, Lu Yuan turned back and slapped it. First, a group of mysterious power exuding a terrifying aura enveloped the apocalypse star. Alice's eyes widened in surprise. She had already realized that it was Yuga Khan's origin power. The existence of the apocalypse star has a special meaning. It is the origin of the new Protoss, and it is the domain of Yuga Khan. Although Yuga Khan is dead, the original power of Yuga Khan has been lost by Lu Yuan and Alice. God. It means that as long as Lu Yuan and Alice are still there, this planet still has a special meaning. But now, Lu Yuan actually enveloped this planet with the origin power of Yuga Khan, and then, the specialness of this planet was cut off. It was as if the network cable had been pulled, and Yuga Khan's power of origin could even disconnect other powers from the DC universe, and once separated all powers of Lu Yuan from himself. To be honest, this power of origin is very unreasonable, and it can only be offset if it is so powerful that it is omnipotent. And then, Lu Yuan's slap caused a terrible cosmic storm, which landed on the apocalypse star accurately. If it is said that the power of Yuga Khan to open his eyes can easily knock a planet out of its orbit, then at the moment Lu Yuan slaps it up, and the entire apocalypse star can no longer hold on, and the whole thing collapses. Alice destroyed the new creation star, and now Lu Yuan has blown up the apocalypse star, and even the Steppenwolf, which was exiled at the beginning, has also been wiped out, which is equivalent to the destruction of the new Protoss of this universe. With the decline of the old Protoss and the second world, the fourth world and the new Protoss have taken advantage of the trend. As a result, it was now destroyed by Lu Yuan and Alice with the power of two people. If there are no accidents, the universe should give birth to the fifth universe and a new Protoss, right? Lu Yuan thought for a while, looked at the only surviving fixed star, and raised his hand to make it fly over quickly. The current Lu Yuan is really what he should be in his current state. Even if it is a fixed star, it is just a recruit. What are you going to do? Alice looked at Lu Yuan strangely. That fixed star wasn't so bright, nor was it so hot. It couldn't compare to the super fixed star they created themselves. A pensive expression appeared on Lu Yuan's face, and then he suddenly stretched out his hands to face the fixed star in front of him, making a gesture of separating the left and right. The fixed star in front of him was suddenly divided into two, and it was not split, but literally divided into two. There was originally only one, but now it has become two identical fixed stars standing there, asking for flowers. Then, Lu Yuan raised his hand again, raised it above his head and shouted, "If there must be gods in this world, then I will bear it." Boom! Suddenly, from the depths of the universe, there was a roar like a thunderbolt from the blue sky. But this abnormal movement is not known to ordinary people. Only those beings with sufficient strength can feel this throbbing. This piece of cosmic space suddenly lit up, and even at the position where the apocalypse star used to be, the image of Yuga Khan resurfaced unexpectedly. Is he resurrected? No, Yuga Khan's image looked at Lu Yuan, and the next moment it turned into a ray of light and projected over. Godhead, Alice exclaimed, and she finally saw that it was the Godhead of Yuga Khan, not Yuga Khan himself, but still retained the image of Yuga Khan. Lu Yuan didn't dodge, squinted his eyes slightly, bearing Yuga Khan's Godhead at the moment coming to his body. Not only that, the entire space of the universe is brightly lit, and from the depths of the universe, there is a wave of luck coming from somewhere. It's as if when the old Protoss fell, the fourth world was born, and then the new Protoss was blessed with luck. At the moment, the universe once again bloomed with enormous power. When the new Protoss fell, a new Protoss came into being. It's just that because of the two fixed stars in front of me, the fourth world is not considered to be destroyed, so the fifth world was not born. Including the countless huge luck, it also spontaneously came to Lu Yuan and Alice. Because there are only the two of them here, and there is no other goal. Alice was also quickly wrapped up by divine power, quickly establishing a godhead for her. Not to mention Lu Yuan, together with Yuga Khan's godhead and the mighty power that came from the dark, he became a god in an instant. From this moment on, I am the sun god. Then I am the sun goddess. A new god was born, and after completely destroying the new gods, Lu Yuan and Alice replaced them and became the new gods. Lu Yuan and Alice packed up the fixed star respectively. The fifth world was not born, but the universe split the corresponding power, which was born by these two fixed stars. When they carry them, it is equivalent to carrying batteries with them, and their divine power will continue to flow. 87. Just as the new Protoss replaced the old Protoss and became the new gods of the universe, Lu Yuan and Alice also replaced the new Protoss and became the new Protoss. Originally, This huge luck could even bring about earth-shaking changes for the entire Krypton, and it was enough to promote the entire Kryptonian clan to the new Protoss clan. Even their neighbors can benefit. In fact, these two civilizations can be said to be brothers. Not only is there no reproductive isolation, but even their abilities are very similar. The only difference is that Kryptonians have kryptonite as their weakness, and clairvoyance has lead as a weakness. Whereas the weakness of their neighbors is lead, the weakness in clairvoyance should be zinc or something else. But in the end, Lu Yuan and Alice chose to bear this divine calendar with two people. This also made them the most powerful Protoss, which is equivalent to two people becoming one deity. In other deities, the luck shared by so many 863 people is now borne by the two of them. Even the huge power that was supposed to give birth to the fifth world was deliberately guided into the two fixed stars by them, and then they put it into their own universe and took it away. This power does not seem to be that important, because they can create the universe themselves. But the meaning of God is different. The Godhead is not that simple. Definitely the most important thing is that they are Yaluzi. Many things can only be figured out by themselves, and everything can only be relied on by themselves. If there is a senior leading the way, it can save a lot of detours. But it's all good. After doing this, the two of them finally lost their nostalgia and turned back to fly in the direction of the center of the universe. The OUA star is located at the center of the universe in the physical sense and is divided into Sector 0. It stands to reason that with the OUA star as the center, the sectors expand outward according to ring by ring. It is not far from the 38th sector to the OA star, but there is also a distance of tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of light years, and may even reach hundreds of millions of light years. Along the way, with the assistance of Ion Shark, Alice began to contact higher-level power with the identity and realm of Ion Man. She also gained a lot. First of all, the omnipotence of being a higher-dimensional life form, the ability to rewrite reality at will, and the ability to control time and space at will. The second is to control the power of origin. Then there is what it means to be a god. As mentioned earlier, the Godhead is not that simple, and only after becoming a god will you know that the gods of the universe are actually immortal. As a god, even if he is dead, he will be guided to the house of gods within the wall of origin. There is a place for the gods to retire for the elderly. Once they die in the universe, they will return there. Although they cannot go out again, they are not really dead. And when the universe restarts, God will be born again. Including Yuga Khan may not really be killed, but return to the wall of origin. The most important thing is that Lu Yuan and Alice have a better understanding of the power of the emotional spectrum through the Ion Shark, especially the power of will, which can turn imagination into reality, and with them, they can alter reality law at will. Even the universe can be modified at will, making a universe disappear, or a certain planet disappear. It seems that it is not difficult. Just like when the Troublemaker and the Bat-Mite were fighting, two people once made the universe blank, and another thought brought the universe back to life. At this level, many things can be solved with just one thought. 1 + 1 = 2? They can also make everyone think that 1 + 1 = 3, or that 1 + 1 = 0 if they choose. Even the most rigorous mathematics can be modified at will. In physics, both can be changed. At this point, even the universe can be created at will. It's just one thing. Lu Yuan and Alice seem to have realized something in the dark. All the universes dubbed DC belong to that person and are built on a great being. They can indeed create the universe as they like. But there is one thing. The universe they create will also belong to that person, unless they have been putting the created universe in their own cells to form a world. Another point is that Lu Yuan felt different. He noticed something strange happen to himself. His time travel was actually planned by someone. There is a person who is guiding him bit by bit, including Darkseid in this universe, which can be said to be the weakest of all Darkseid duplications. The combat effectiveness of this universe is not particularly high. So far, Lu Yuan has leveled this universe. Daxiad, Mungo, and even the Sangong demon from other universes, the Blood Butcher possessed by the Blood Butcher, including Ghost, dare not confront him, and Yuga Khan. Once the incidents of the Chulaman Horong and the Third Legion are resolved, is there anyone else in this universe who is his opponent? Always feel that there is a pair of eyes staring at us? Even Alice felt it. Lu Yuan subconsciously looked towards a certain direction in the universe, as if meeting some familiar eyes for a moment, and then separated immediately. He showed a thoughtful expression, and then shook his head. Forget it. Random thinking can't solve the problem. Maybe one day we will know the truth. As for now, it's time to rush to Ouyue Xing as soon as possible. Along the way, they have obtained what they wanted, not only consolidating their newly acquired godheads, but also understanding the power of origin and so on. It's time to speed up, or the ion shark will go crazy. Then I don't have to do this anymore. Alice was even more decisive, directly tearing off the green battle suit on her body, and abruptly broke away from the state of Ion Man. The ion shark ran out, exuding a resentful breath, and followed the two. It is an extremely noble existence, and it is the most gentle among all the lantern beasts, and it is also the one that will least affect the host's own personality and will when possessing itself. Moreover, Ion Man can be said to be an omnipotent 1.4 existence, with countless benefits and powerful power. Why does it have a feeling of being rejected? It is the first time that it has seen a person who dislikes its own power. Well, they are indeed strong enough. So strong that they already feel that the ion shark is a drag. Especially Lu Yuan doesn't want a third person watching when he and his wife are sleeping. Then let's go. Lu Yuan and Alice left as soon as they said they would. They had been to OA Star and had already remembered the location of OA Star. At the moment turned into two rays of light and disappeared in an instant. Even the ion sharks couldn't keep up with their speed, so they had to open the wormhole portal and return to Oua Xing. As a result, it just appeared and was immediately surrounded by a group of white monsters. The Third Legion has been established. Those white monsters are the Third Legion. 88. Those white monsters are the Third Legion. They are puppets without any emotion. Although they are living creatures, they have no self-awareness and are completely controlled by the Asgardians of the universe. When the ion shark returned to Oua Star, it was immediately surrounded. Those monsters looked at it silently with icy eyes. The next moment, they suddenly rushed forward, surrounded the ion shark, trying to assimilate it. These monsters don't have green light rings, and they don't need any rings. They originally only have one ability, which is to assimilate everything they touch into the same white color as them. Plants will also turn white, and creatures will become monsters like them, become one of them, and then continue to assimilate. In this way, the Asgardians of the universe intend to purify the entire universe one day. They think this is the only way of peace. Are you crazy? Ion Shark shouted to Oua Xing in front of him. I know you are watching. Do you really want to do this? A cosmic Asgardian flew out, looked at the surrounded Ion Shark from a distance, and said with a blank expression, excessive emotions are meaningless. If you want to make the universe peaceful, you must complete the purification of the entire universe. False. What absurdity, cried Ion. The universe Asgardian snorted coldly and waved his hand. Let's assimilate it into one of us. Those white monsters immediately pounced on it, starting from touching the Ion Shark's body. They actually dyed a part of the Ion Shark white. Although Ion Sharks have a high status, there is one point that is the biggest weakness of the Lantern Beasts. That is, because the Lantern Beasts originally do not have a real body, they cannot exert their powerful power. All lanterns are included. Only in the case of possessing others can the strongest combat effectiveness be exerted. This is true for Ion Sharks, and so is Bloodslaughter. Ion Man and Bloodtucker are their most powerful performances. In fact, the same is true for ghosts. Like Lantern Beasts, ghosts also need to possess others, and will determine their strength according to who the host is. When Ghost was weakest, he was instantly killed by troublemakers. When Ghost was strongest, he was even said to be able to defeat giant monsters, and even compete with DC God, that is to say, the lower limit and upper limit are determined by the host. If Lu Yuan becomes the host of Ghost, it is unknown how powerful it will be. But now, the Ion Shark is in danger. It has no way to fight against the white monsters of the Third Legion, and even it is affected by itself, feeling that its will is gradually losing. Once it is also turned into a white monster, the entire green emotional spectrum that symbolizes will be affected at that time. At that time, not only one universe, but infinite multi-universe will be affected. That was a huge amounts of event that could even shake the wall of origin. Just then, Lu Yuan and Alice finally arrived. They flew all the way here with their own power, but they were not much slower than the Ion Sharks. They were still countless light years away in the last second, and even the Asgardians in the universe didn't notice it. In the next second, they had come to fight the battlefield. Damn it all, Alice yelled, quickly rushed to the Ion Shark, opened her hands and waved fiercely. Boom. She erupted with terrifying divine power, and everything around her was blown away, and even many white monsters turned into white smoke and dissipated. The picture looks like Shenluo Tianzheng, but the power is naturally not the same. Even the Oua Star in front of him was bounced away from its original position. The Asgardians of the universe are horrified by this. The Oua Star has been here since the birth of the universe, but it has been moved today? It seems to symbolize some bad meaning. Quick, get her, the Asgardian yelled, panic in his voice. Who are you going to catch? Lu Yuan suddenly appeared behind the little blue man, pinned his head, and asked with a bad expression, Huh? Tell me, who are you going to catch? The little blue man subconsciously wanted to reach out and knock off Lu Yuan's arm. In fact, the strength of these little blue people is still remarkable, and their individual strength is also very strong. Even if they are confronted with the new gods or the old gods, they will not be easily defeated. If they fight to the death, even Darkseid will have to weigh it. The definitely referred to here is the duplication of Darkseid in each universe, not the ontology. However, the current Lu Yuan is also unbelievably strong. He snorted coldly and squeezed his hands hard. Puff. He crushed the little blue man's head immediately. That is the Asgardian of the universe. Not to mention the so-called status that makes them think highly of themselves all the time. That is, their long lifespan, and they are definitely one of the few long hides in the universe. As a result, Lu Yuan didn't respect the old and love the young at all, and said that he would be crushed to death. Even Ion Shark couldn't help being refreshed when he saw this scene, and under the protection of Alice, he quickly recovered the white-stained parts of his body. It looked at the little blue man's body and exclaimed, Did you kill him? So what? Lu Yuan shrugged and turned to look at Oua Xing. On Oua Star, there are more little blue people floating there out of thin air, and they are also looking at what is happening outside the planet. Their expressions were cold, and they didn't seem to care about the death of their companions at all. They also noticed the huge damage caused by Alice, but instead of worrying, they gave orders indifferently. All 983 attack. Suddenly, Oua Star, which was supposed to be green, was instantly dyed white, and countless densely packed white monsters sprang out from the planet, exactly the same as those before. It turned out that after Green Lantern Rain returned to Oua Star, they already knew what happened, and took this opportunity to build this so-called Third Army with all their strength. Nowadays, these monsters of the Third Legion have reached a terrifying number of billions, which is far beyond what the Green Lantern Corps could match before. The reason why so many monsters can be created is naturally benefited from the first light of the disaster. They still release the disaster, and use the power they got from the disaster to build the Third Army with all their strength. Go and purify the entire universe. The Asgardians in the universe calmly issued orders to the Third Legion. But suddenly, time was stopped. Quietly, a huge figure appeared on Oua Star. He is the first disaster. Fu Rong was wearing a gray bodysuit, or maybe not wearing it at all. There are white and green lines spreading all over his body. He is extremely huge. It seems to be hundreds of meters high. He just stopped time casually and approached the Asgardians. Fu Rong smiled cruelly, and then he reached out and grabbed the Asgardians. Be my prisoner. 89. Chu Dongxia Huarong, a very tragic character. The purpose of his coming to this world was to help the little blue people build the Green Lantern Corps, and it was with his help that the little blue people realized the power of the emotional spectrum. As a result, although Fu Rong got the first birth lantern ring, he was tricked by the little blue people again, and he was forcibly integrated into the Great Heart by them, which is the emotion that the little blue people don't want but imposed upon me. Afterwards, the little blue man locked up Fu Rong for a while, because the little blue man was afraid of the power of Fu Rong. But in doing so, Fu Rong lost the chance to go back and save his own universe. This is simply more vicious than the story of the farmer and the snake. Not only does it bite back, but it also smashes your things. Who can bear this? It's just that the seals of the little blue people are really powerful, and they have imprisoned Fu Rong for 10 billion years. But when the Third Legion rose up, he took the opportunity to escape, and even easily controlled time after gaining power. It is not unreasonable for Ion Man to be so worried about misfortune. This guy has not only lived 100 years, but Chu Ding, as the first ring of the emotional spectrum, can even control the power of the entire emotional spectrum. Not only that, Yin Rong cannot distort reality and control time and space at will. Perhaps this is already a standard ability for the strong? Anyone who doesn't know it will be ashamed to say it. Especially Fu Rong. The anger of the First Light made him create a timeline to play with everyone, and it once caused the scourge of the level universe. Only now, Lu Yuan and Alice are on the scene. Although there is no help from other legions, and even the other legions have not yet been born, the only Red Lantern Legion that was about to be born died before it was ready. But that doesn't matter. Lu Yuan and Alice looked at each other. Although time was stopped, they were not affected. The reason is that they are naturally strong people who can control space and time at will. Even Ion Sharks can move freely. They all noticed Fu Rong, such a big guy, It was not easy not to notice. Then they saw that Fu Rong held those little blue people in his hand easily, and when Fu Rong let go of his hand, those little blue people all turned into little white people. "It's your own fault," Alice sneered. It turned out that it was Huarong who turned those little blue people into white monsters without ego. Fu Rong also noticed Lu Yuan and the others. He wondered, didn't he control the time? Immediately afterwards, Fu Rong put away his curiosity and let time flow again by the way. The little blue people, no, the little white people have lost their self-awareness. They don't even know what happened, and they have become slaves to me. Fu Rong raised his hand and pointed forward, including the little white man. The third army immediately became his army and rushed towards Lu Yuan and the others. "Don't underestimate people for me," Lu Yuan snorted softly. "Just these unremarkable guys? Who do you look down on?" Terrible divine power erupted from Lu Yuan's body, spreading across the entire battlefield in an instant, including all the white monsters. Then, with a thought in Lu Yuan's mind, those divine powers immediately turned into doomsday spores and began to absorb all life crazily. Even Alice and Ion Shark were taken aback and quickly moved away from Lu Yuan's side. Otherwise, even if it wasn't Lu Yuan's subjective idea, they would still be affected. Lu Yuan's doomsday spores had reached a terrifying level. Even those god-level opponents were eaten alive by him, let alone these monsters without self-awareness. The Third Legion was disintegrated in an instant, and even those Asgardians in the universe who turned into little white men were no exception, and countless long lifespans were absorbed. This scene also made Fu Rong show an expression of disbelief, and then, an unexpected move. I saw Fu Rong suddenly turn around and ran away, took a big step and fled to the other side of Oua Star in an instant, and opened a series of overlapping space doors. If he was allowed to get in, God knows which door he came from. Those who leave, where will they flee to? Are you in such a hurry to leave? But a beautiful figure stopped in front of him. It was Alice. Ever since the experience of Lu Yuan's crisis, Alice will never let Lu Yuan do anything wrong by himself. Lu Yuan will not say anything more. They will be husband and wife from now on. No matter how many opponents they face, they will always fight together. Even if at the moment's opponent is only to blame me, they are still playing together. So Alice blocked Fuo's way in front of her, and without turning her head, she forcibly closed the door of the space that Furong wanted to escape behind him. Lu Xian had already chased after him. The couple blocked Fu Rong in the middle. Huarong looked at Lu Yuan vigilantly, then at Alice, and finally chose to stretch out huge amounts of arms to grab Alice. He was so tall that he could easily hold Alice with one hand. Khaleesi was not easy to mess with. She grabbed Fu Rong's big hand, then turned around and fell over her shoulder. Unfortunately, I just felt an irresistible, terrifying force coming, and my whole heart was thrown out by her. The scene was spectacular, like an ant throwing a person out of his back. Even Fu Rong was stunned. He didn't expect Alice to be so powerful. Before he could react, Lu Yuan had already arrived ahead of the trajectory he was flying out of. Reaching out to catch Fu Rong's flying back, Lu Yuan waved his fist at Fu Rong with a smile. Boom. Fu Rong was punched back by him again. On the surface of Oua Star, Alice moved her right foot with a look of eagerness, stepped forward, twisted her waist, and jumped up, kicking Furong back with a flying kick. The two of them seemed to be playing together, kicking Furong back and forth across the air like a football. The dignified Lantern Man at the moment has no chance to fight back. He has just been released from the 10-billion-year seal and has not recovered his own strength. He originally felt bad and wanted to escape, but the result was still they seized the opportunity. This is not rubbing against the ground, but it is less humiliating than being pressed to the ground. Enough, Fu Rong roared angrily, forcibly stopped his body in midair, and glared at Lu Yuan and Alice fiercely, all in a mess. "I'm going to turn you into emotionless walking corpses," I shouted loudly, and I suddenly made a scratching gesture at the two of them. It turns out that Furong can not only use the power of the entire emotional spectrum, but also directly absorb the emotions of others. This may be an effect of the Great Heart, and the means used by the Cosmic Asgardians to create the Third Legion. But now, Fu Rong took it out as a means of attack, trying to absorb the emotions of Lu Yuan and Alice, turning them into those white monsters. 90. That is the most powerful method of disaster, and it is more terrible than the self-elimination method of Cosmic Asgardians, the consequences of completely eliminating self-consciousness. It will even be under the control of Huarong. Before that, Lu Yuan and Alice might still be a little more afraid. But at the moment, the two had an incomparable tacit understanding, and at the same time exuded a powerful force of origin. But instead of attacking Huarong, they wrapped themselves up. Since Yuga Khan's power of origin has the meaning of disconnection, at the moment they isolated themselves, so that the means of misfortune cannot affect them. Unless I can overcome the power of origin. But he is obviously not that powerful. When Lu Yuan and Alice even did not hesitate to isolate themselves, the ability of Wo Mi is invalid for them. That's it? But that's it. Lu Yuan snorted coldly and quickly stepped forward in front of Fu Rong. Although Huarongzu is several hundred meters tall, Lu Yuan is not weak in the limelight in front of him, and even has a stronger sense of presence than him. I have to be careful. But when Lu Yuan made a shot, he was still defenseless. In an instant, no one could see Lu Yuan's actions, and he only did one thing. That is, took off the ring that caused me to suffer from Chudeng. Actually, I have reflected on it before. All the power of Green Lantern comes from the Green Lantern ring. In fact, we can easily solve them at 690. Lu Yuan was talking to Alice. Alice asked curiously, "Oh? What is it?" Lu Yuan smiled at the disaster in front of me and squeezed his hand hard. Snapped. Even among all the lantern rings and the infinite multi-universe, there were some transcendent Chulan rings, but it shattered at the sound and was crushed by him. No, Fu Rong roared angrily. It turns out that this is what Lu Yuan said. Since we know that the lantern ring is the source of power, why not target this point? Lu Yuan felt that he was an idiot. There was no need to fight Green Lantern or Huarong. All he needed to do was destroy their rings. Sure enough, with the shattering of Chudeng's ring, Fu Rong was immediately affected. First, his body shrinks rapidly and finally returns to the form of an ordinary person. Immediately afterwards, his appearance and physical condition also aged rapidly. He has lived for 10 billion years, but that is not the immortal lifespan he originally possessed, but survived by the power provided by the Chulan ring. Now that the Chudeng ring has been destroyed, the timeline on him has begun to return to the right track. However, he himself does not have enough lifespan, so he begins to age and even becomes old in a blink of an eye, and is even dying. 10 billion years, even for the planets in the universe, can be regarded as a year that cannot be underestimated. Even fixed stars cannot be ignored, and some fixed stars may die during this time. Huarong was originally only at the level of an ordinary person. He definitely couldn't support the passage of time for 10 billion years, so he finally disappeared into a handful of dust. Actually, these Lantern Corps are really easy to deal with. Lu Yuan turned around and shrugged at Alice. Just knocking out the rings of Green Lantern, Red Lantern, etc., whether it's cutting off the arm or taking it off by force, is enough to make them lose their power temporarily. As for ordinary people, Lu Yuan can kill them in an instant as long as he activates his aura. Alice asked amusedly, "You don't want to have a hearty fight with him? Doesn't he like fighting strong opponents the most?" Lu Yuan was a little embarrassed. He had just suffered a loss and had learned a lesson, so naturally he would not get carried away. By the way, where is the Ion Shark? Lu Yuan changed the topic, looking for the whereabouts of the Ion. On the surface of planet Oa, the figure of Ion Shark emerged. "I am here. There are still some cosmic Asgardians below who have not died, and they can repeat the mission of planet Oa." Huh, then I have to kill them. Lu Yuan rolled up his sleeves and wanted to do a thorough job when he heard that the little blue man survived. Ion Shark quickly explained. "It's not those little blue people, it's the big blue people." Big blue man? Neither Lu Yuan nor Alice understood what it meant. Deef, Ion Shark had no choice but to explain. It's what the original Asgardians of the universe looked like 10 billion years ago. They are the Asgardians of the universe without deprivation of emotions. According to Ion Shark's explanation, it was the cosmic Asgardians who first established the First Legion, that is, the robot hunters. Later, with the help of Fu Rong, they mastered the method of making the emotional spectrum into a weapon. But there was a divide, and a part of the universe Asgardians deprived themselves of their emotions for fear of turning them into weapons. Another part believes that as long as the power of will can be directed correctly, the peace of the universe can be guarded. This is the reason why the Green Lantern Corps is the main legion of Oa Star, and the second legion. Why not other emotions? But will? And then there was an incident where the Cosmic Asgardians locked me up, and the Cosmic Asgardians who retained their emotions took the initiative to take on the task of guarding me, and those little blue people have been making trouble outside. But listening to you say that, those guys are not good at all, Lu Yuan muttered. Ion Shark continued to explain. The experiment that forcibly imposed the Great Heart on Wowo was done by the little blue man. At that time, Huarong had gone berserk, and the big blue man had no choice. At that time, the big blue people also disagreed. They knew very well that doing so would only destroy the future of the universe. especially if they couldn't release evil spirits. It would bring huge amounts of catastrophe. If you say that, it seems that white dots are not acceptable. Next, Lu Yuan and Alice followed the Ion Shark and saw the big blue men in a place called the Shadow Pavilion. There were a total of 10 of those people, and there were originally more, but I don't know if it was because they stopped the little blue people, or they did it when Huarong came out and many of them died. Now there are only 10 people left. The height of the big blue man is no different from that of ordinary people, and his appearance is similar, except that his skin is blue. This looks much more natural, unlike those little blue men, not only short in stature, but also big-headed dolls, already a little distorted. The arrival of Lu Yuan and Alice made the 10 big blue men stand up straight with serious faces, and even bent over to salute. We already know that you are the ones who stopped this catastrophe, and you are the ones who stopped the wrath of the First Light. Thank you for what you have done. If there is anything we can do, please tell us. We want to repay you, because this was originally our responsibility, but in the end we became the initiators of all this, and we are guilty. Oh? Lu Yuan raised his eyebrows. As expected, he kept his emotions. Not only did he express it in a rich way, but he also rarely managed to understand it. 91. To Lu Yuan's surprise, these big blue people are different from the little blue people, not only sensible, but also know how to be grateful. Recalling the domineering appearance of those little blue men before, who do you look down on? They also call themselves Asgardians of the universe. What do they guard? When Darkseid's army invaded the Earth, when Mungo's army invaded Arango's hometown, and when major events happened one after another in the universe, they only cared about their own interests and safety, reached a consensus with Darkseid, and turned a deaf ear to the behavior of Apocalypse and Darkseid. Don't even let the other Green Lanterns go to support Arango in stopping the warlord Mungo. He even turned a blind eye to Rueo. Instead, after Lu Yuan and the others defeated these opponents who were stronger than the last, they jumped out and wanted to encircle and suppress Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan actually wanted to ask those little blue people what they thought. Lu Yuan had defeated an opponent they dared not fight against. How dare they provoke him? In fact, this is the little blue man, who is extremely desperate and likes to make troubles. Don't fight when it's time to fight, and fight again when you shouldn't fight. And if you can't beat it, it's just a second. They brag about themselves to the sky, but in fact, no one has ever put them in the eyes of the real powerhouses of the universe. They are just enclosing the land for self-indulgence and dividing the universe into sectors. Who do you think cares about them? How many civilizations has Darkseid conquered? How many civilizations has Rueo brainwashed and enslaved? Mungo directly drove the planet and ran around the universe. Not to mention the power from the multi-universe. With such a comparison, the big blue people in front of them immediately got Lu Yuan's favor. Hey, it's nice to talk. Lu Yuan smiled, satisfied with their attitude. In fact, he originally had the idea of destroying them all if he couldn't do it. But now it seems that there is no need to shoot. The big blue people looked at each other in dismay. Someone sighed. Please don't blame our people. They are not good at expressing because they deprive themselves of their emotions. And they also want to protect the peace of the universe more equitably. They just think that redundant emotions will only affect legitimate judgments. Isn't it because of the fear of the power of the spectrum of emotions turned into weapons? Alice asked in a timely manner, remembering the words of the Ion Shark. The man choked. I can no longer speak. Alice is very experienced in choking people, and Lu Yuan has a good say in this, and she often makes herself speechless. Okay, since your attitude is not bad, I'll leave it to you to deal with the aftermath. Let's go, Lu Yuan said, and was about to pull Alice away. They knocked other people's planets off course, and if they stayed there, they might have more responsibilities to bear. As long as the big blue people have a bad attitude, that's fine, and there is no psychological burden if they are wiped out. But now, decisively is still the best policy. They have saved the universe. There is no reason why they should not continue to be tool people, right? In the end, Ion Shark stopped their direction and reminded, wait a minute, didn't you promise me to resurrect everyone in the Green Lantern Corps after the incident? Yes, believe me, their intentions are not bad, and they are indeed protecting the peace of the universe. In fact, the Green Lantern Corps still has some functions and contributions. At least the existence of the Green Lantern Corps can prevent those civilizations that are not too strong from frequently launching cosmic wars. Without the deterrence of the Green Lantern Corps, the universe might not be able to tell what it would be like. In fact, there are countless brilliant civilizations in the universe, and some civilizations have already developed to the stage of the universe. Among them is Krypton, and the Green Lantern Corps is to prevent the war between these mortal-level cosmic civilizations. They dare not stop those powerful opponents, but ordinary mortals are still fine. What's more, Lu Yuan and Alice have already promised it. How could the Ion Shark let them leave easily? The most important thing is that many of the Green Lanterns have been obliterated by you from the existential sense, so they can only be resurrected by you. Otherwise, I don't have to pester you, Ion Shark said again. At that time, many Green Lanterns were wiped out by Alice's glance. The heat ray mixed with the power of Omega rays directly erased the existence of many Green Lanterns not only in the physical sense, but also in the sense of existence. It is said that the person who tied the bell needs to be untied. So Alice must be resurrected. Otherwise, as long as Ion Shark is willing, he can casually turn others into Ion Man. Asking for flowers? Lu Yuan looked at Alice. Alice shivered. You still want me to wear that kind of ragged clothes? You are in good shape. Lu Yuan smiled forcefully. Why don't you wear it? Alice was not fooled and took a step back to hide away. Lu Yuan thought it was green. What do you mean? But he was stopped by the Ion Shark and looked at him eagerly. Lu Yuan shook his head amusedly and angrily. Anyway, he and Alice's Omega Effect power comes from the same line, and he can also revive the dead Green Lantern. By the way, I haven't seen Arango all this time. Where did that guy go? Is he all right? Lu Yuan asked subconsciously. The Ion Shark jumped on him quickly and couldn't wait as much. Even Alice was a little jealous when he saw it. What's going on with this guy? At the same time, Ion Shark said, Urango, the elite among the elites, but in the battle against you, because he said a fair word to you, he was rejected. And in the end, he was deprived of the ring and identity of Green Lantern. And there was a rebellion in his country. Huh. Both Lu Yuan and Alice showed ugly expressions. Those damn little blue people really dare to do that. Do you want to revive them and kill them again? Forget it. Forget about whipping. Lu Yuan snorted softly, and as the power of the Ion Shark spread throughout his body, he had no choice but to put on the green tights again. By the way, I am omnipotent myself. I can do it without your power, right? Lu Yuan suddenly realized. Why did he have to transform into an Ion Shark? He can do it with his own power, yes. Ion Shark didn't speak. Alice covered her mouth and let out a snicker. Lu Yuan rolled his eyes. Forget it. He's already put it on again, and he doesn't need his own strength, so there's no need to go back and forth. Therefore, Lu Yuan could only bear the green battle suit silently and opened his hands, emitting bursts of dazzling green light. Dead Green Lantern Corps, because of your brave will, I allow you to be resurrected in situ. Brave Green Lantern Urango, you are qualified to continue to serve as Green Lantern. And those who have been bewitched, restore, sober up, and die. 92. A major crisis involving the entire universe was resolved lightly by Lu Yuan and Alice. At the same time, the dead Green Lanterns were also resurrected. It's just that they were revived on the spot, and the space in the universe was already empty, and they didn't even have a green light ring, so they died on the spot again. It was Ion Shark and those big blue people who sent them back to OA Planet, and then resurrected them a second time, so that they could finally be truly resurrected. And the Green Lantern Corps has regained its previous status and position, and has to make up for what happened during this period of time, as well as the true history of OA Star. Definitely that has nothing to do with Lu Yuan and Alice. They have disappeared. After Urango finally became Green Lantern again, it successfully suppressed the global rebellion, and those people were actually bewitched to rebel. After that, Lu Yuan and Alice had no 563 relationship, and they continued their journey. This universe is not finished yet. There are still many places to go. Also, they finally started to build their own second universe, and continued to put super fixed stars into it infinitely. And with the beginning of owning the second universe, the power they increase every minute becomes even more terrifying. And just a few days later, they both stepped into the seventh dimension. In fact, since the seventh universe, it has reached the realm of omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipotence. But they are not yet at the level of the omnipotent universe, and there is still a long way to go from the omnipotent universe. But if they wanted to, they could have entered the multi-universe long ago. However, Lu Yuan and Alice still choose to stay, and continue to travel while continuing to expand their respective universes. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Their strength is getting stronger and stronger, and the speed of creating super fixed star is also getting faster and faster. Soon, they began to create a third universe. Then, after another 2 years, the creation of the fourth universe began. When the number of respective universes reaches more than 10, the time interval for recreating the universe is shortened to within 1 year, then within a month, within 10 days, and finally within 1 day. A universe can be created and filled with super fixed stars. In the blink of an eye, 5,000 years have passed, and Lu Yuan and Alice finally transformed the cells in the whole body into one universe after another. Their life forms have already surpassed the concept of ordinary people. If they want to, even they are originally enough to become a certain universe. For example, the DC universe is built on a certain great being, and they are equivalent to this kind of existence now, and they create an infinite universe on their own. When the concept of infinite multi-universe was established, they originally became the existence of the super-universe. And as they turned each universe into countless parallel universes, each of which is equivalent to the existence of an infinite multi-universe, they have reached the realm of a super-large universe. This is not over yet. As they further expand the scale of the universe, sooner or later they will become the existence of the omnipotent universe. I also have to say that the Kryptonian is indeed a bug, just like a solar cell, which can turn the yellow sun's rays into a powerful force, and even break through the sun originally. The only thing to worry about is that their universe is not a real complete universe after all. There is no life in it, let alone human beings, only countless superstars. In order not to leave any flaws, they also worked together to create a complete universe, which contained various complete laws and newly born life civilizations. All of this has become so easy and relaxed in their hands, and Lu Yuan and Alice have a deep understanding of it. They have observed from the birth of the universe to the end of that universe, including the birth and death of life, including the meaning of emotional spectrum, and even the definition of life and death, etc. Reality, illusion, idea, reason, physics, mystery. All in all, they began to slowly contact and began to sublimate. They don't know how the DC God became the supreme being, but they have walked their own path. One day, the entire DC universe suddenly brightened up, even the dark world was illuminated, and even the deepest part of the abyss of hell, the gospel came. The new Supreme was born, and it was born in the DC universe, and there are still two. Even the supreme beings such as the DC God, a certain white existence, and giant beasts were alarmed, and countless powers followed the fluctuations to find them. In the end, they didn't see who the new Supreme was, but they could only see the traces of a universe that had just died out, and two bright, colorful figures. After Lu Yuan and Alice woke up after staying in the core of the sun for 100,000 years, they once became the Golden Girl Superman and the Golden Destroyer Day. Later they entered the sixth dimension and were dyed by Gene Color again, but now, the shadows they left behind are really bright, because they symbolize everything, that is, omnipotent and omnipotent. One thought of them can make everything in the world disappear or not exist, and one thought can make everything born and exist. They can teach a bird to live in the sea, a snake to fly, an elephant to burrow, and a lion to eat grass. They even caused huge amounts of changes in this universe in a single thought. When a couple named Wayne were robbed in a back alley in Gotham City, the robber was suddenly wiped out by a terrifying light that fell from the sky. When a person travels from the future century to this era and wants to kill a seemingly ordinary woman, he is suddenly pulled into the deepest part of the Speed Force, becomes a part of the Speed Force, and dies completely. Reverse lightning. There is also a football star who not only survived a car accident with his mother, but the car was transformed into an armor similar to the Iron Man battlesuit, so that he no longer has to pay a heavy price to become a superhero. There are many, many more. This universe was supposed to be an Earth that is not very different from other DC universes. Maybe this is the Earth of the DC universe. But now everything has been rewritten, and this place has become an unknown universe, and no one knows what will happen in the future. Then one day, a blue figure came over and invited Lu Yuan and Alice to observe the main universe of the DC universe with him. Then more interesting stories will happen. In fact, the story of the DC universe really begins. A world that has not been affected by Lu 0.5 Yuan and Alice. A world that truly has a complete timeline. With the destruction of Krypton and the arrival of a spaceship on Earth, the story begins. But behind the spaceship, there were three people following. Lu Yuan, Alice, and an existence called Dr. Manhattan. I said, Mr. Manhattan, can you wear some clothes? Alice complained. My daughter will get eye problems. Your daughter hasn't been born yet, right? Dr. Manhattan glanced at Alice's belly, which was clearly pregnant. Lu Yuan smirked aside. I finally have a daughter. Huh? Stupid. By the way, don't ruin another universe, let alone steal the time of this world. A new story naturally has a new beginning, doesn't it? P.S. I am gone again, preparing a new book.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.